Picture this: a massive passenger plane soaring thousands of feet above the endless ocean, the hum of its engines a steady comfort until disaster strikes. Both pilots suddenly lose consciousness, leaving the aircraft spiraling toward catastrophe. Who steps up to save the day? A 12-year-old boy named Max, armed only with his passion for planes and hours spent on flight simulators. What happens next is a story so gripping, so unbelievable, it'll leave you on the edge of your seat. Don't click away, this tale of courage and quick thinking will blow your mind. The sun is just peeking over the horizon, casting a golden glow across Coastal City Airport. 12-year-old Max strides through the automatic glass doors, his small backpack bouncing on his shoulders, covered in colorful airplane stickers meticulously arranged in rows. In one hand, he clutches his prized possession, a well-worn aviation book, its pages dog-eared from countless readings. His mother, Sarah, walks beside him, pushing a black suitcase that's seen better days. Her face carries a tired but proud smile, the kind that comes from months of late-night shifts and careful budgeting. This isn't just any trip, it's a dream vacation to Sunny Coast, a vibrant seaside city known for its sandy beaches, towering mountains, and thrilling amusement parks. For Max, it's more than that. It's his first ever flight, a chance to live out his obsession with aviation. And the cherry on top? A tour of a real airfield where he's been promised a glimpse inside a cockpit. Max, you're going to love this, Sarah says, her voice warm with excitement as they navigate the bustling airport terminal. We'll stroll along the boardwalk, visit the aquarium, ride the cable cars up the mountains, and of course, see those planes you're always talking about. Max's eyes sparkle with anticipation, his imagination already soaring. Mom, do you think they'll let me see the pilot's cockpit? Like, actually sit at the controls? He asks, barely containing his enthusiasm. Sarah chuckles, ruffling his hair. Maybe, kiddo. It's a surprise, so you'll just have to wait and see. Max presses his face against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the waiting area, his breath fogging the glass as he watches planes taxi across the tarmac. He points eagerly, his voice bubbling with excitement. Look, Mom, that's a Boeing 737. And over there, that's an Airbus A320. See the winglets? Sarah, who knows little about planes beyond what Max has taught her, can't help but smile at his infectious passion. You're a walking encyclopedia, Max. I swear you're going to be the best pilot this world has ever seen, she says, half teasing, half serious. Max beams, his mind already picturing the moment he'll touch the controls of a real plane. Boarding time arrives, and Max steps onto the plane with a mix of awe and reverence, as if entering a sacred space. His eyes dart over every detail, the soft hum of the air conditioning, the neatly arranged seats with their blue upholstery, the overhead bins clicking shut, the dim glow of the ceiling lights. He cranes his neck, trying to catch a glimpse of the cockpit as he passes by, but the door is closed, guarded by a smiling flight attendant. The cabin fills with a diverse crowd, a young family with 2 small children, one wailing loudly while the other tugs at their mother's sleeve, demanding ice cream. The mother, visibly exhausted, tries to soothe her younger son, her patience wearing thin. Behind them, a man in a sharp business suit strides down the aisle, his heavy briefcase swinging. His face is etched with irritation, and he mutters under his breath, "This is why kids shouldn't be allowed to fly." Max watches him closely, noting the way he glares at the family and snaps at anyone who lingers in the aisle. "Mom, did you see that guy?" Max whispers as they settle into their seats by the window. He doesn't seem happy about anything. Sarah glances at the man, who's now grumbling about a delay in stowing his luggage, and shrugs. "Some people are just having a rough day, Max. Don't worry about him." Max nods but keeps an eye on the man, whose sour mood seems to cast a shadow over the cabin. Outside, the tarmac buzzes, with activity ground crew in neon vests, baggage carts zipping by, the faint roar of engines warming up. To Max, it's like watching a perfectly choreographed dance, every movement precise, every person and machine in its place. He presses his face to the window, mesmerized. "Mom, did you know a Boeing 737 like this one can hit speeds of up to 600 miles per hour?" he says, his voice brimming with wonder. Sarah, buckling her seatbelt, smiles. "That's incredible, kiddo. One day, I bet you'll be the one flying a plane like this." Max's heart swells at the thought, his gaze fixed on the runway as he imagines himself in the captain's seat. The plane begins to taxi, and Max feels a surge of adrenaline. The engines roar louder, the ground vibrates beneath them, and then whoosh, the plane lifts off, climbing into the sky. Max grips the armrests, his eyes wide as the world below shrinks to a patchwork of fields and roads. He's living his dream, every moment electric. During the flight, Max's curiosity gets the better of him. Despite his usual shyness, he flags down a flight attendant, her crisp uniform and warm smile putting him at ease. "Excuse me, ma'am, how high are we flying?" he asks, his voice small but eager. She looks surprised but delighted. "We're cruising at 33,000 feet. You're really into planes, aren't you?" Max nods vigorously. "I spend hours on flight simulators. I know how the autopilot works, how to read basic instruments, everything." Sarah chuckles, impressed by her son's boldness. The attendant's eyes widen. "Wow, you're practically an expert. Keep it up, and maybe one day we'll be working together." She hands Max a sticker with the airline's logo, a small treasure he tucks into his pocket like a medal. The flight is smooth, and Max savors every second. The in-flight meal, the safety briefing, the soft hum of the cabin, it's all part of the magic. To him, this isn't just a flight. It's the start of his journey to becoming a pilot. But then, boom! A sudden jolt shakes the plane, rattling trays and startling passengers. Max's heart skips a beat. The captain's voice crackles over the intercom. "Dear passengers, we're experiencing minor turbulence. Please stay seated and keep your seatbelts fastened. Everything's under control." Max buckles up, his eyes locked on the wing outside, which sways slightly. He knows turbulence is normal, but something feels off. Sarah notices his unease and places a comforting hand on his. "It's okay, sweetie. This happens all the time. The pilot knows what they're doing." Max nods, but his gut tells him otherwise. Minutes later, another jolt hits, stronger this time. The seatbelt lights flicker on, and flight attendants rush down the aisle, checking belts and calming anxious passengers. The cabin buzzes with tension. The mother with the 2 kids struggles to fasten her younger son's belt as he cries, "Mommy, I'm scared!" Her older child clings to her hand, whispering, "Are we going to crash?" Her voice trembles as she reassures them. "No, honey, we're fine," but her pale face betrays her fear. An elderly couple in the back sits silently, their hands clasped tightly, the woman clutching a small cross as she prays. Her husband, sweat beading on his forehead, whispers words of comfort, though his eyes are filled with worry. The businessman stands out again, his voice booming over the chaos. "What is this nonsense? Where's the crew? Why isn't anyone telling us what's going on? Are they just sipping coffee up there?" He glares at a nearby flight attendant who tries to stay calm. "Sir, please take your seat and fasten your seatbelt. The crew is handling everything." But he's not having it. "Handling? You call this handling? We paid good money to be thrown around like this?" His shouts stir up more fear, and passengers exchange nervous glances. Someone from a few rows back snaps, "Sit down, you're scaring everyone." But the man waves them off, muttering, "Who are you to tell me what to do?" Max grips his armrests, the growing panic in the cabin making his stomach churn. Crash! Another jolt, followed by a chilling metallic screech. Screams erupt. Max's heart races. He knows that sound could mean serious trouble. The plane tilts sharply to one side, and oxygen masks drop from the overhead compartments. Passengers gasp, scrambling to put them on. Max and Sarah secure theirs. But Max's mind is racing. Something's wrong with the pilots, he's sure of it. He calls out to the flight attendant, his voice cutting through the noise. "Ma'am, what's happening in the cockpit? I think something's not right." She hesitates, her face tense. "Everything's under control," she says, but Max isn't convinced. If it was, the pilots would be talking more. "I've read the safety manuals, watched videos, something's wrong." His words hang in the air, heavy with urgency. The plane shakes violently again, and the businessman leaps to his feet, swaying in the aisle. "This is chaos," he bellows. "Where's the captain? Why are they silent? Tell us what's happening." The attendant, struggling to keep her composure, pleads, "Sir, please sit down. We're doing everything we can." But the cabin is a powder keg of fear, passengers crying, praying, clutching their seats. Max can't stay silent. "Mom, I think the pilots aren't okay," he whispers, his voice trembling but resolute. Sarah, her face pale, tries to calm him. "Max, you're just a kid. This isn't your job." But before he can respond, the plane lurches again, and a deafening metallic groan echoes through the cabin. Alarms blare from the cockpit, warning signals Max recognizes from his simulators. The flight attendant, pushed to her limit, sprints to the cockpit door and punches in an emergency code. The door swings open, revealing a nightmare. Both pilots are unconscious, slumped over the controls, their oxygen masks dangling uselessly. The dashboard is a chaos of flashing red and yellow lights, sirens screaming. The plane is diving fast. The attendant gasps, her hand flying to her mouth. "Oh my God, they're out! What do we do?" Max's heart pounds, but he steps forward. "We have to stabilize the plane. I know those signals the autopilot's off, and we're losing altitude." The attendant, wide-eyed, stammers, "You're just a kid." But Max presses. "I've trained on simulators. I know how to engage the autopilot. We're running out of time." She tries the radio, but static crackles no response from the tower. The plane continues its terrifying descent. With no other options, the attendant nods, her voice shaky. "Okay, but I'm staying right here with you." Max slides into the co-pilot's seat, his hands trembling as he faces a dashboard alive with warning lights and blaring alarms. He takes a deep breath, forcing himself to focus. "Try the tower again," he shouts. More static. Then a voice breaks through. "Coastal City Control Tower. Who's at the controls?" Max grabs the microphone, his voice quivering but clear. "This is Max, a passenger. The pilots are unconscious. The plane's falling. We need help." A stunned pause. "A kid's flying the plane?" the dispatcher asks, disbelief in his voice. The attendant jumps in. "He's our only chance. The pilots are out, and communication was down until now." The dispatcher, though shocked, shifts to professional mode. "All right, Max, stay calm. I'll guide you. Find the artificial horizon." Max spots the instrument, its needle tilted dangerously downward. "Got it. Pull the yoke gently toward you," the dispatcher instructs, his voice steady. Max grips the yoke, his fingers shaking, and pulls slowly. The plane levels slightly, but another jolt shakes the cabin, sparking more screams. "It's so heavy," Max cries. "You're doing great," the dispatcher reassures. "Now find the autopilot button to the left of the yoke." Max locates it, the indicator flashing red. "It's off. Press it," the dispatcher says. Max hits the button, and the indicator turns green. The alarms quiet and the plane steadies. The attendant, gripping the seat, exhales. "Max, you're incredible!" But their relief is short-lived. The businessman storms into the cockpit, his face red with fury. "What is this? A kid's flying the plane? Are you out of your minds?" he shouts, pointing at Max. The attendant snaps, "Sir, return to your seat. He's our only hope." The dispatcher's voice booms through the radio. "Sir, leave the cockpit now. We need to focus." The man glares but retreats, muttering, "This is insanity. I'll sue you all." Max ignores him, his focus locked on the controls. "What's next?" he asks. "Reduce speed for landing," the dispatcher says. "Find the throttle levers to your right." Max grips the levers, pulling them back slowly. The plane slows, but a new alarm blares cabin pressure. Check the pressurization switch on the overhead panel. Max finds it in the off position and flips it. The alarm stops. "Great work," the dispatcher says. "Now, the landing. You ready?" Max's heart pounds, but he nods. "Yes." The runway lights appear through the clouds. "Reduce thrust," the dispatcher guides. Max pulls the levers, the plane slowing further. "Line up with the runway." Max steadies the yoke, his hands trembling but his focus unwavering. In the cabin, passengers sit frozen, some praying, others holding loved ones. Sarah, her hands clasped, whispers, "You've got this, Max." The plane descends, the runway growing closer. "Keep it steady," the dispatcher says. Max's hands shake, but he guides the plane down. Thud. The wheels hit the runway with a jolt, and the plane rolls to a stop. The cabin explodes in cheers and applause. The attendant, tears streaming down her face, cries, "Max, you did it!" Sarah rushes to the cockpit, wrapping Max in a tight hug. "My hero!" she sobs. Rescuers and airport staff swarm the plane, fire trucks and ambulances waiting outside. Max, exhausted, slumps in the seat, the weight of what he's done sinking in. The attendant touches his shoulder. "You saved us all, Max." He looks at her, eyes welling up. "I just didn't want anything to happen to Mom or anyone else." On the tarmac, a dispatcher named Victor approaches, his gray hair and kind eyes reassuring. "Max, I'm the one who guided you. You're braver than most pilots I know." Max, still shy, shakes his hand. "I just followed your instructions." Victor smiles. "You were a pilot today, kid. Never forget that." Journalists swarm, but Sarah steps in. "He's just a kid. We need rest." The story spreads like wildfire, a 12-year-old saving a plane. But trouble follows. A passenger, Paul Grayson, sues the airline, even targeting Max, claiming a child shouldn't have taken control. Sarah's furious. "He saved their lives." The court sides with Max, blaming the airline's negligence. Years later, Max becomes a captain. On his first flight, Sarah sits proudly by the window, watching the wing as her son commands the plane. Before takeoff, Max smiles at her. "Mom, I did it." Tears in her eyes, she replies, "You've always been my hero, Max." Thanks for watching this heart-pounding story. What did you think of Max's bravery? Drop a comment below, hit that like button, subscribe to tell me, and share this video with friends. Don't miss our next incredible tale. Check the description for more.